Welcome in, everyone. Today we're going to try to understand time. Not just, how we tell it, but what it actually is. And we're diving deep into on the nature of time for this. It's a wild ride, and I'm excited to get in with you.
Yeah, time, right? It's like we all think we've got a handle on it until you really try to think about it, this deep dive. It's going to mess with some of our most basic assumptions. Buckle up.
Okay, so the author throws out this idea right away. The universe is a giant computer, and time. Basically, it's a measure of the universe's calculations.
It's a really interesting way to think about it, actually. The idea being time isn't this separate thing ticking away. It's like it's built into how the universe processes information.
So instead of time being like a ruler, we should be thinking about it more like a process.
Exactly. Like imagine trying to solve some really complex math problem. You
Oh,
can't just
yeah.
skip to the answer, right? Got to go through each step. That's the heart of what the author calls computational irreducibility. Every single step, it has to play out. Can't speed it up, can't skip ahead.
So like I can't just magically know what my dinner's going to taste like. I got to cook it step by step to
Yeah.
actually get the final result.
Perfect example. The universe, it's full of these unskippable processes, right? And
Yeah.
that's why time, at least how we experience it, it's got this forward momentum we can't deny. It's computations unfolding and each one depends on the one before.
Okay. That makes sense. But then why do we experience it in these like individual moments? If the universe is constantly computing, why aren't we just I don't know, hit it with the entire timeline at once?
Well, that's where our own limitations come in, as observers, I mean. Our brains are amazing, but even they can only process so much at once. You know what I mean?
So we're like, what? Computers trying to run a program that's like way too big?
Exactly. We're experiencing the universe's massive computation, but in these manageable chunks,
Yeah.
moment by moment. And it's that limitation, ironically, that gives us this feeling of time flowing.
So our limited processing power, that's actually like crucial to how we experience time. That's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And this ties into something you mentioned earlier, the second law of thermodynamics. The idea that things in the universe, they tend to get more disordered over
Sure.
time. Like my desk after a long day.
And that tendency, that drift towards disorder, it's connected to this limited perception idea. See, the universe, it's getting more complex, more interactions constantly on a
Mhm.
microscopic level. But we're bound by this forward flow. We're not wired to see all of that. We just get the net result, which is, well, increasing entropy, things getting messier.
It's like when a glass shatters. It's
Yeah.
almost impossible to get all those pieces back together perfectly.
There you go. Entropy in action. We see the the shattered glass, right?
Yeah.
The end
Yeah.
result, but not that whole intricate dance of energy and particles that led up to it.
So it's not just that we're like passively experiencing time. How we perceive it, that actually plays a key role in how we understand it. It's a two-way street.
Exactly. Consciousness, being able to observe, process information. It's fundamentally tied to the very idea of time. And get this, it gets even wilder. Ready for this? This source says we're not even on a single timeline.
Okay, now you've got my attention. What do you mean not on a single timeline? Are we talking like alternate universes, that kind of thing?
You're on the right track. Fasten your seatbelt because we're about to explore branchial space. It's a real mind bender.
Branchiospace. Okay, yeah, that definitely sounds like something out of science fiction. So what is it? What's this branchial space, and how does it connect to, having multiple timelines?
So picture this. Every time there's a quantum event, right? Every time there's a chance for things to go one way or another way, reality branches. One branch, it happens like this, another branch like that.
So every decision, every coin toss, it's like creating a whole new timeline.
That's the basic idea, yeah. Now, imagine that branching happening constantly. On a quantum level with every single interaction in the universe. That whole crazy expanding network of possibilities, that's branchial space.
Whoa. So there's a universe out there where, like, I tripped on the sidewalk this morning, even though, obviously, in this reality, I didn't.
It's possible, but here's the thing. We only ever experience one branch at a time. Our consciousness, it follows a single path through this massive network. That's why we feel time as linear, even though, the author argues, reality itself might be way more complicated than that.
It's like we're choosing our own adventure, but we only know the path we take, not all the other options, the ones we didn't pick.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And our limited view, it's not just with this branchial space thing. The author takes it even further, introduces this concept of the ruliad.
The ruliad. Okay, now that sounds seriously next level.
Okay, think of it like this. What if all of this, right? Branchial space, all the possibilities, the laws of physics, everything. What if it's all running on a set of fundamental rules? Like the ultimate source code for reality. That's the ruliad.
So the ruliad, it's like the master program, and branchial space is everything it creates, all the different ways that program can run.
You got it. The author describes the ruliad as timeless. Absolute. It just is. It's the framework where everything else exists, all those branching timelines included.
That's pretty mind-blowing. But if the ruliad contains everything, aren't we like kind of stuck, trapped inside the code, unable to see the bigger picture?
In a way, yes. It's like imagine being a character in a video game and suddenly you become aware of the game itself. You're still bound by its rules, though. You can't just like step outside the game, outside the ruliad.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around this. So we're trying to understand time, and now we're talking about the ruliad, this like all-encompassing reality. How does this change how we think about time? I mean, is it even real if we're stuck inside the system?
That is a huge question. And the answer, at least according to this source, it's a bit of a paradox. You see, it's because we're bound by the ruliad, because of our limited view within it, that time even has meaning for us.
Wait, really? You're saying our limitations, they're what make time valuable?
Exactly. Think about it. Imagine being able to just perceive all of time at once, all those branches, all those possibilities just hitting you. Would it be exciting? Overwhelming? Or would it just be, I don't know, kind of meaningless?
Yeah, it's like, if you already knew how every story ended, what's the point of reading them?
Exactly. It's like exploring a maze. The whole point, the excitement, the discovery, it comes from experiencing it one step at a time, not knowing what's next. Time, in a way, it is that experience. Navigating the ruliad, encountering all those infinite possibilities, but one by one.
That's a really nice way to put it. So even though we're, like, bound by this ruliad, by these rules maybe we'll never fully get, it's the journey, that unfolding of possibilities through time that makes our existence, meaningful.
That is the incredible paradox. Our experience of time, it might be subjective, shaped by how we perceive it, but it's that subjectivity that gives it value. It's like looking at a tapestry really close up. You see the individual threads, the details, but not the whole image, right? But that close-up view, that limited perspective, it shows you a beauty, a complexity you might miss otherwise.
Wow. This is really making me rethink, like, everything I thought about time. It's not just this external thing. It's connected to how we perceive, to our choices, to the fabric of reality itself.
And it gets even more wild when we start to think about, free will. Do we actually choose which path we take through branchial space? Or are those decisions, are they already baked in by the ruliad?
Okay, those are some big questions. Are we really going to try and tackle free will today?
Don't worry, we're not going to leave you hanging. This source, it actually has some fascinating takes on how the ruliad, computation, and choice, how they all fit together. But to really dig into that, we got to look closer at this idea of computation itself.
Okay, you've definitely got me curious. Let's get computational. All right, so picking up where we left off, we've been on this, like, whirlwind tour of time. The universe is a computer, this whole ruliad thing, it's a lot. But now we're getting to the really personal stuff. Free will. If everything's playing out according to this ruliad, do our choices even matter?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right? Philosophers have been wrestling with that one forever. But this source, it's got an interesting take on it. Remember that computational irreducibility thing we talked about?
Yeah. Like the universe's way of saying, no spoilers.
Yeah.
We got to let the calculations happen.
Exactly. And that applies to our choices too. Even though the ruliad, it might hold all these possibilities, right? They only become real. They only actually happen through computation. That's where our choices come in.
So, like, our choices are inputs into the system.
Yeah.
We're kind of nudging the calculations along.
Exactly. Every decision we make, every action, it's like inputting data, right?
Yeah.
Steering those calculations in a specific direction. That's how the author links free will to the ruliad. Our choices, they're not predetermined. They're what actually drive the computation, shaping which reality we end up experiencing.
So it's not so much that it's all pre-scripted. It's more like we're choosing our own adventure, but within the ruliad. Every choice, it makes a new branch of possibilities.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
But there's a catch. This isn't some like fluffy you create your own reality thing. Our choices, they have weight, they have real consequences. Every decision, it sends ripples through the ruliad. Not just our own timelines, maybe countless others too.
Whoa. That definitely adds a whole new layer of responsibility to making decisions. So it's not just like coffee or tea. We're actually, what, shaping the fabric of reality with every choice?
It's a big concept, right? And it makes you realize how connected everything is. Our thoughts, actions, the universe itself, all bound up in this crazy dance of computation and choice.
Okay, I need a second to process this. This conversation, it's like it's shifted my whole perspective. Time isn't just this thing out there ticking away. It's part of who we are, what we do. And now free will, something I always just took for granted, suddenly it feels, I don't know, way more significant.
That's what's so great about, really digging into these big questions. Makes you question your assumptions, opens up new ways of seeing things, the universe, ourselves, the whole deal.
Totally. It's like we've been looking at this super intricate tapestry, but only up close, seeing the individual threads, but not the whole picture. And speaking of pictures, there's this one last idea from the source. It's kind of stuck with me.
I was hoping you'd bring that up. The idea that if we could somehow break free of our limited perception, experience all those timelines at once, outrun time, it would actually make it less meaningful.
Hold on. So our limitations, they're what make time precious. The fact that we're stuck on this one track, experiencing things one moment at a time, that's what gives it value.
That's what this source is arguing, yeah. It's our constraints, the things that hold us back that make life interesting. Our limited processing power, linear time perception. Those limitations, they create curiosity, wonder, the whole drive to learn and understand.
Because if we knew everything already, could see the whole tapestry of time, there wouldn't be a journey anymore.
Yeah.
No mystery to it.
Exactly. The excitement of discovery, the thrill of the unknown, even the bittersweet feeling of remembering the past, looking forward to the future. Those come from our limited view. That's what makes experiencing time so human.
Wow. Yeah, that's a powerful thought. Reminds you to really appreciate the moment you're in, find meaning in the journey itself, even with all the bumps along the way.
Couldn't have said it better. Time is a gift, a tapestry of computation, perception, choice, the whole thing. We may never fully grasp it, but trying to, wrestling with those questions, that's what makes it so fascinating.
Well, listeners, there you have it. A deep dive into the nature of time, from its computational roots to what it means for reality, free will, the whole shebang. We covered how our perception shapes our experience, how our choices influence what happens, and how our very limitations might be what makes time so valuable.
And we've only scratched the surface. There's so much more to unpack, to think about, to debate.
Absolutely. So we'll leave you with this. If you could experience time totally differently, would you? And what would that tell you about time itself? Keep those brain cells firing, folks. This is host speaker and expert speaker signing off.